Morning chestnuts. We are going to be continuing working on our short division today. I was really impressed with what I saw yesterday and how you contributed to the lesson. So carry on developing that confidence and just practicing using your trial and error if you make a mistake. Remember, making mistakes is really good. If we're making a mistake, it means we're challenging ourselves and we learn from that mistake so we don't make it again. The first thing I'd like you to do is have a think about this starter task, which says rank by difficulty. You've got 3 different division questions here, and what I'd like you to do is pause the video and if possible talk to someone around you, but if not, write it down. Which of these do you think would be the easiest to work out? Which one do you think would be the hardest, and which should be in the middle? So have a think. Now I'm going to explain to you what I think. Now, when I first looked at it, I was drawn to 60 divided by 4 and 32 divided by 4. The reason I was drawn to 62 divided by 4 is because I knew that 32 is in the 4 times tables, which means that I should be able to work that out mentally in my head. So I therefore know that 32 divided by 4 is 8, because 8 lots of 4 make 32. I would then look at 60 divided by 4 and think that we know to divide by 4 we halve and halve again. So if I halved 60, which would be 30, and then halved 30, which would be 15, that would be the answer to that one. Now the reason I've left 14 divided by 4 till the end is because, well, 2 things. First one is I know that 14 is not a multiple of 4. 14 does not appear in the 4 times tables, which means there's going to be a remainder. We could also think about it that if we're halving and halving again, half of 14 is 7, which definitely means if we then halve 7, which is an odd number, there's going to be a remainder left. So I think that one's the most difficult. I wonder if you agree or thought something different. So we're answering the question, can I divide using the formal written method today? And to be successful, we need to draw out the bus stop, put the divisor under the bus stop, put the dividend to the left of the bus stop, and if there are any remainders, move them to the next column. So quick reflection, yesterday we started dividing using the formal written method. And what you need to make sure today is that you're really confident with how to lay it out. So if possible, give yourself an opportunity to write it on a piece of paper just to have a little practice. So what we're going to do first is use our Venn diagram. And in this Venn diagram, we're going to put the numbers into the correct section. And it says divides by 3 with no remainder here, divides by 4 with no remainder here. And remember, the 1 in the middle means that it covers both. So why don't you pause the video and have a go at thinking where you could put the numbers. Right, let's go through them. Let's start with 16. We know that 16 is a multiple of 4, so I'm going to put that in the middle, but it's not a multiple of 3. I'm going to cross it out so I know I've used it. Then we've got 20. 20 is also a multiple of 4 because 20 divided by 4 is 5. So I'm going to put that in here. We then move on to the number 14. Now, 14 is not in the 4 times tables. 14 is also not in the 3 times tables, which means it has to go on the outside, because it doesn't match any of those descriptions. Now let's move on to 24. We know that 24 is in the 4 times table because 6 4s are 24. But we also know that 24 is in the 3 times tables because 8 times 3 is 24, which means that one has to go in the middle. And that then leaves us with 18. Let's think of our 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Nope, 18 is not a multiple of 4. What about our 3s? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So 18 is going to go in this section. Wonder how you did. What we're going to do for the rest of this lesson is just do some practicing. So if you'd like to, whenever one of these slides appears, you could pause the video and have a go yourself, and then see if you agree what I said. So we've got 48 divided by 4. So I've put 48 underneath the bus stop and 4 to the side. I'm then going to say how many 4s are there in 4, which is 1. And there's no left over. Then, how many 4s are there in 8, which is 2, which means 48 divided by 4 equals 12. We now have 52 divided by 4. Step 1, how many 4s are there in 5? There is 1 4 in 5, but there's 1 left over, so remember I bring that remainder down here, forming now a 12. How many 4s are there in 12? There are 3, because 4 times 3 is 12. $84 divided by 6. Step 1, how many 6s are there in 8? There is 1 with 2 left over. Then, how many 6s are there in 24? So we need to think of our 6 times tables. 6, 12, 18, 24, which means that we put a 4 there, because 6 times 4 is 24. We now have 64 divided by 3. How many 3s are there in 6? There's 2 with no remainder. Then, how many 3s are there in 4? There's 1, but we have a remainder, we have left over. And because there's no number here, we're going to put our R for remainder and then a number 1. I hope you were quite confident with those. If not, you can rewind the video and have another look. The final thing we're going to look at before we move on to our task is this, and it says which one's correct. So you need to find the correct calculation. There are 3 different alternatives, but 2 of them have mistakes in them. So I'd like you to pause the video and have a think which one is correct and which 2 are incorrect and why. It's really important to explain why. So pause the video and have a think, and then I'm going to explain. Right, ready? Let's start here. If we look at all of them actually, we know that they're laid out correctly. We've got 84 underneath the bus stop and 3 to the left, so that's a good start. We then want to look at how many 3s there are in 8. We know there are 2 3s in 8, because 2 times 3 is 6, but there are 2 left over, because 6 plus 2 is 8. And they've not put the leftover here, so the first one has to be wrong. Let's move on to the second one. How many 3s are there in 8? There's 2, and 2 left over. Then, how many 3s are there in 24? Is it 8? 8, 16, 24. Which means this one must be correct. So let's check why this one's not. How many 3s are there in 8? 2. There's 2 left over, not 1. Hopefully you spotted that as well. Your task for today is to answer these questions. The first 16 have been laid out for you, and then I've put in 4 worded problems. So I want you to think if you can work out what the question's asking you to do and how you're going to lay out the calculation. I look really forward to seeing your work, because I know you're getting really confident with your short division. Well done for persevering, chestnuts, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.